Good evening and welcome to Prog Monster, a site dedicated to progressive rock, hard rock, heavy metal, and other forms of rock music. So this is our series that we've been doing about rock greats who once thrilled us but have since passed on. This is episode number 29, which features... I take that back. It's episode number 30. I forgot to write the number. Anyways, this features Frank Zappa from the Mothers of Invention and Mick Ronson of Bowie fame. So anyways, today we're going to start with Mick Ronson, since we do this normally. Whoever passed first goes first. This one wasn't too tough. The Frank Zappa one was long and arduous. There's so many things that man did. Such a virtuoso musician. We'll try to get through it. Anyways, I'll do it the normal way I normally do it, which is tell you their vitals, talk about them and some of their accomplishments, and then do the second person, and then give my honorable mentions. You'll have to excuse me, I'm pretty tired today. Anyways, Mick Ronson, born May the 26th, 1946, and I definitely will need my glasses at some point, so I'm going to get them out. He was born in Kingston, Upper Hall, Yorkshire. He died April 29th, 1993, which is the year we're in now, at the age of 46 in London, England. Died of liver cancer, actually. His rock was rock and glam rock, basically, are the two main genres he was in. He was a guitarist, but he also played piano, vocals, cello, and violin. And he was active from 66 till his death in 93. Okay, so he was well trained in classical as he started out on the piano. He wanted to be a cellist, but he made the move to guitar when he discovered Duane Eddy. Okay, his first band was called the Marines in November of 1963, and then he moved to the Cresters, on the recommendations of one of the members of the Marines that he was in. He left them in 1965 and moved to London, to try and get the music scene like so many other musicians were doing at the time. He joined the Rats, but he came back and joined the Rats in 1966. He was with them till the early 70s. Well, no, he's with them for the rest of the year. And then in the early 70s, he met David Bowie and started playing with them. He played on the first 5 Bowie albums, including the Spiders from Mars, in which he was the guitar player for that particular album, as he was for all the previous ones and the ones that came after that too. Then he left and did a solo career. He had 3 albums. He had other solo albums later, but he did 3 before he started doing other stuff. And he played session with some other artists, including David Cassidy, Roger Daltrey, Ian Hunter, a few others like that. And of course he died of liver cancer. Now the thing about Ronson, I remember, is he had that kind of flamboyant guitar style. And he suited the rock legend quite well. And he actually won one of the, I think it was Cream Magazine had him as the second best guitarist of the year one year. Only Jimmy Page. He was between Jimmy Page and Eric Clapton, so he's a pretty reasonably good guitar player. Don't remember too much about him other than I know that he did play... What was that album I was thinking of? I just played it, and I can't remember the name of it. It might come to me after, anyways. Quite an accomplished guitar player. Excuse me. Sorry, I'm just really tired. And gifted guitar player. So there you have Mick Ronson, of Bowie fame, I call him. That's kind of where he got his fame, but he's been around and done quite a bit of stuff after that as well. Also, next flip back here for a second. The next guy, Frank Zappa, much more involved. This guy, he did over 60 albums. It's just a lot of information about him. So I tried to zero out the stuff that I don't want to get into a history of Frank Zappa, is what I'm trying to say. I just want to talk about the musician himself. So Frank Zappa was born December 21st, 1940 in Baltimore, Maryland. He died December 4th, 1993 at 52 in Los Angeles, California. His music was basically rock, blues, experimental, jazz, classical, avant-garde, and there was some other stuff too. A very hard guy to nail down into a particular genre because he was very liked to try a lot of different stuff. He was very much that way. He has two kids that have become sort of famous in the music industry: Dweezil Zappa and his daughter Moon Unit, who sang on his biggest single of all time, which was Valley Girl. She did the kind of Valley speak on that. I remember the song when it came out and thought it was hilarious. Okay, so the next thing, just going to talk a little bit about his history. His father worked for the U.S. Army as a chemical warfare and mathematician, and as a result, they moved from place to place, as you do in the Army, and this influenced his a lot of his music was influenced by this chemical warfare stuff too. He had quite a bit of it in his music. He was a sickly child, suffering from asthma, and I think I wrote everything down, but I don't see it. Yeah, asthma, and he also had some sinus issues. He had a couple of other things too, and they placed some radium pellets in his nostrils, which was supposed to kind of cure him of that. But this was in a time period before they really knew the effect of radiation on side effects. They didn't know much about it, so kind of a strange thing to do. But they did lots of strange things back then. His first band was he played drums on. He had actually gotten a letter of invite from a musician who he had a lifelong love of, which was Varicia. Now, I don't know if he was a musician or a writer of some kind, but he did make some music which was kind of a little bit hard to listen to, but Frank Zappa liked him quite a bit and wrote to him, and actually got one of his birthday present was to get the phone and talk to him. But unfortunately he wasn't there. He talked to his wife, and then they sent him a letter of invite, and before he could go and visit with him, the man died. So not a good ending. But anyways, he kept that letter. I remember reading that he kept that letter up on display because he was so proud of it. At one point, I think it was in the late 50s, he met a man called Don Glenn Villette, who then later became Don Van Villette, who became a lifelong friend. And then after that, he started playing the drums for another band called the Blackouts. And while he was with this band, Eulid James Motorhead Sherwood was in this band, who eventually became part of his mother's invention. He became interested in the guitar in the late 50s as well, and eventually that became his primary instrument. Okay, there was one thing here. I kind of wrote over it, so I can't really read what it says. Oh yeah, when he was in high school, he did graduate from high school, but he had tried several of them before he graduated, and had a bit of a disdain for the high school experience, but in general for the whole educational system, and so much so that when each of his kids reached 15, he pulled them out of school. He didn't want them in there, and had lots of conflict with that. At that same time, he broke up the Mother Inventions at the end of the 60s. Oh no, right around that time he was playing in a power trio in the called the Mothers with a U, not with a O. And then he met a man who convinced him to join his band. Ray Collins convinced him to join this band, and eventually he took over the band, and they changed themselves on Mother's Day of all things to the Mothers. Now, when they were signed to Verva, which was a division of MGM, the Verva label said that they couldn't keep the name Mothers. They had to become the Mothers of Invention, because Mothers gave off that derogatory thing, which, they didn't want that attached to the label. It could have been other things too, but that's the thing that they saw, so they wanted him to. So that's how the Mothers of Invention came about. Their first album was Freak Out, which did really well, and they made other albums together. But then he disbanded the Mothers at the end of the 1960s, and then he did his first solo album called Hot Rats, which he did well at. He reformed them and just basically referred to them as the Mothers. He had lots of legal issues here. And then in the 80s, he released an album, and on the album was This Valley Girl, which then became his biggest hit and was kind of a big thing for him. So but throughout this time, he released over 60 albums, some solos, some with the Mother of Inventions, lots of them rocky, some of them very jazz fusion oriented, lots of different styles. He was very much about different styles and different sounds, and very, very experimental. And to me, when I think of Frank Zappa, I think of, he was very anti-drug, to be honest with you, but you wouldn't know it with the behavior that he had. But anyway, he did the best he could to do the lifestyle he wanted to do, and he did all the things he wanted to, and unfortunately, he probably died too young. He died of prostate cancer, and who knows if the radiation had anything to do with it or not. They really didn't get to do much studying on this particular thing at that period of time. Anyways, he wasn't a musician I listened to much. I found him maybe a little too far out there for me, and some of the music that he played wasn't really something I was into, especially as a younger person. I think maybe there's a chance I could get into this stuff now, especially the fusion part. I think I kind of like some of that. So we'll see what happens with it. That's part of the reason why we do this, is so that we discover something about somebody who may move me to start listening to music. Certainly Mick Ronson has done that, because in the last few weeks I've purchased a couple of Bowie albums that I hadn't heard before, so I was quite interested in hear that too. So anyways, we go on to just some of the honorable mentions here. Some people that should need, like to give a little bit of talk a little bit about them. Dizzy Gillespie, Marv Johnson, G.G. Allen of the Jabbers, Randy Joe Hobbs of the McCoys and Montrose, Mia Zapata of the Grits, another punk band, Bobby Peterson of the McCoys, Don, oh man, I can't even read what I wrote there. Oh, sorry. The next two guys, I think it's Don Myrock and Wade Fleming, both played for Earth, Wind and Fire. One of them played for Phil Collins as well. Jerry Edmonston of Stepping Wolf, of course, and Ray Gillen of Black Sabbath, and others that he played with as well. So all of my mention goes out to all of those people who died that year, but had some impact on the rock music scene. So there you have it. Frank Zappa and Mick Ronson, two fairly well-known people, I think, and are my episode 30 from 1993. I hope you enjoyed this episode. We'll be releasing another episode on Thursday morning. This one will come out tomorrow morning, and I've got a few other videos to do between now and Friday. So hopefully we will see some of you out there. Make some comments if you feel like and subscribe as always. This helps me and I hope you enjoy this. So you have a good evening, and this is a Murph from Prog Monster saying goodbye. Bye.